The Xbox Series X is in. How does the Gigabyte G32QC perform? We're gonna find out today. Hey guys, welcome back to Cringy Tech Talk. My name is Chris. If you're new here, then welcome. We talk all things tech here with a specific focus on gaming and streaming for both consoles and PCs. I also live stream every Tuesday and Thursday starting at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. You can check out my link below. So if you want to stop by the live stream and ask any specific questions you have, I'd be more than happy to have you and chat with you. And also we cut up a little bit more on the Twitch channel than we do here on YouTube. And without further ado, let's talk about how the Xbox Series X and the Gigabyte G32QC play together. This video is specifically talking about how this monitor performs on the Xbox Series X. If you want to see a full review of the Gigabyte G32QC, then you can check out my last video, which is over here somewhere. For the too long didn't watch people, yes, I recommend this monitor for a good budget option for the Xbox Series X. But let's talk about why. For starters, 1440p on a 32-inch monitor that's also 1500R curvature is a really nice experience. And this monitor does 1440p at 120 hertz with VRR enabled on the Xbox Series X. There is one thing that is a negative that we have to discuss, but it's not an issue with the monitor. I reached out to Gigabyte and Xbox support because my HDR was not functioning properly on the monitor. It wouldn't turn on in 1440p. So speaking with Xbox support, they just currently do not offer HDR and 1440p at the same time. They have HDR locked to a 4K signal. What this means in reality is because the dashboard for Xbox is not a 4K signal, you can set your monitor to 1440p, 120 hertz, and everything will be a-okay. As soon as you launch a game that supports 4K and you have the allow 4K option picked on the Xbox menu, it's going to force a 4K signal from the Xbox to the monitor, and the monitor is going to pick up on that, and it's going to use a downscaler. Xbox support said that they are escalating this issue to their engineering team, and I am hopeful that they will add HDR support for 1440p in the future, but for now, it's not available. We'll talk about how you can get HDR to work with this monitor on the Xbox. However, we'll also talk about why I don't recommend doing that. So why do I recommend this monitor as a good budget option for the Xbox Series X? You're going to get a great VA panel that has really good contrast ratios, and it's 32 inches and it's curved, which looks great if you're playing on a desk. You're going to get full support for the 120 hertz refresh rate at 1440p, not 4K, because this is not a HDMI 2.1 monitor. The response time of this monitor is really great. In my experience, I haven't noticed any notable ghosting. The image quality looks fantastic, and I'm pleased overall with the input lag. My first few days of testing this monitor were frustrating, to say the least. I was having a big issue with getting HDR to work. So let's talk about what was happening and how to avoid my experience that I had with the frustratedness of it. So in the Xbox menu, there's an option for allow 4K. What I was not aware of is that this monitor actually has a built-in downscaler, which will allow it to receive a 4K signal and then downscale it internally to 1440p, which sounds great. So every time I enabled HDR, this monitor was automatically switching into 4K mode, and then I would actually have 4K capped out at 60 hertz, which is the first issue. And then secondly, the input lag was greatly increased because I believe the downscaler was increasing the input lag. So yes, you can get HDR to work if you want to check that allow 4K. But the biggest issue I have with that, because I was thinking, oh, well, you know, maybe I could just, for the games that I don't want to play 120 hertz on, I could just run it in 4K and have HDR, was my initial thoughts. However, the big issue with that is that the Xbox dashboard is not native 4K. It's actually 1440p or whatever the native resolution that you're running. So what happens is when you're switching back and forth between games, which is one of the great features with Quick Resume, every time you go back to the dashboard, if you have the allow 4K option picked, it's going to black out the monitor while that downscaler turns off and reverts back to the signal that you had it set at, which was, for me, it was 1440p, 120 hertz. Extremely frustrating. The monitor is super slow to do that. Sometimes it would just turn off for like 5 to 10 seconds of a black screen before it would get back to the dashboard. And personally, HDR on this monitor is not worth it to lose 120 hertz refresh rate and to have to deal with the whole black screen switching back and forth with downscalers, not to mention the input lag that gets added. So my recommendation, if you're going to purchase this monitor, forget about HDR until Microsoft can allow native HDR support at 1440p, because currently they don't. But just forget about HDR and enjoy the experience at 1440p, 120 hertz with FreeSync. Because a couple of people have asked me, well, did the image look better in the 4K mode with the downscaler? And to be honest, I pixel peeped and really couldn't tell a difference. And also the HDR is the lowest level of HDR certification, like we talked about in the full review. It's only HDR display 400. So the brightness doesn't really get much more brighter than what is already available in the SDR mode. So really just forget about the HDR and enjoy the experience offered until Microsoft can fix that. So that's a lot of talking about the negatives. And I'm OCD, so when I couldn't get HDR to work in the 1440p, 120 hertz, I was freaking out a little bit, and then I had to calm myself down. In reality, this is a fantastic budget monitor. I picked mine up on Amazon for $320. Amazon links are below. It helps support the channel. And for $320, getting 1440p, 120 hertz, and FreeSync on my Xbox Series X is totally worth it for me for when I'm gaming on my gaming monitor. Yes, I'm a little disappointed that HDR doesn't work on it right now as it's supposed to, but I'm hopeful that Microsoft will fix that in the future. So like I said before, I definitely recommend this option as a great budget entry. If you're not looking to spend $1,500 on a new TV or $2,000 on a new TV and you enjoy gaming competitive games on Xbox and you're looking for something that has a little bit lower input lag than what a TV is going to offer you, this is a great option, man. You can't go wrong with it. If you made it this far into the video, then thank you so much for sticking around. If you enjoy this content, then please consider giving me a subscribe and a like on this video. My channel is still fairly new, but thank you so much to the huge support that I've already received. We're over 50 subscribers now with 3 videos posted, and I've really been enjoying the comments. I love to interact in the comments. So please, if you have any questions about this monitor or about my Xbox or anything else related, let's talk about it. Let's hit me up with a comment, and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. I check the comments a lot, so I read them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what questions you guys have. And again, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to pop into my live stream on Twitch Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, feel free to stop by. Link will be in the description. Feel free to stop by. And that's it for me today, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.